Hey guys, and welcome to this first episode in what may well become a staple series on this channel. It should be a fairly simple one for me to kind of continue and keep up. I'm hoping, with your help, it should work quite well. The concept for it is quite simple. Essentially, I have bought this sketchbook that you see in front of you right now. And it's got 50 pages in it, of 160 GSM, I think it is. And yeah, I'm going to attempt to try and fill it with you guys. So every page will be filmed and put into an episode. I'm thinking maybe 1 or 2 pages per episode at the moment, but I might change that to just 1. I don't know. See what you guys think. Because it is going to be a sort of a collaborative type series, but I'll go into that in a little bit later. But like I say, I'm going to be trying to fill the pages with you guys. So there's 50 pages in it. If I do 1 or 2 pages a week, then I reckon it's probably maybe 25 episodes minimum that we're looking at for this series. So that should be quite fun, and it'll give you a nice insight into my brain. First, I'll just quickly talk about what happened with the first page. Essentially, I'm sure everybody has everybody who draws suffers occasionally from I don't know what to draw itis. You know, those days you sit down with a blank sheet of paper in front of you and that's it, artist block. You just don't know what to do. I tend to go straight for dragons. If that's the case, I enjoy drawing dragons. I think they're good fun. There's lots of interesting shapes and stuff that you can stick in there. So, yeah, I go with dragons. So this first page was just filled with dragons, and I see no problem with that whatsoever. I'm using a mechanical pencil. It's just a Faber-Castell one, I think. 0.7mm, I don't know. It's probably one of my favourite things that I own at the moment. I've always used graphite when I'm doing the sketches. Generally, I use graphite when I do sketches, and I've had sets of pencils and stuff like that, and I've always used pencils. Until a few weeks ago, where I had an epiphany and decided, or realised rather, that a mechanical pencil is actually a really, really great thing. I don't have to sharpen it for a start. That's useful. And I just click the end of it and I've got a ready sharp piece of lead ready to go. It always stays the same thickness, doesn't get all soft around the edges or anything. It's brilliant. And I thoroughly advise anybody who's suffering from that same thing of you have a pencil and it loses its point and it gets softer and you've got to sharpen it more and it's a waste of material, and I think mechanical pencil is absolutely the way forward. So best purchase I've had in a long time, to be perfectly honest. But as I'm saying, at the moment I'm using just straight up graphite, straight up pencil on this sheet, but that's not going to be like the hard and fast rule for this sketchbook. I'm going to be attempting to use lots of different mediums, ones that I'd never used before, ones that I have used before, ones which I don't know how to use, so there'll be a lot of experimentation. I'll be using different techniques, so I won't just be doing straight up sketches like I am here. I might come up with a different idea of how to get interesting character or shape out on the page, and show you some of the different techniques that I use in order to come up with some of my character designs. So there's a lot of potential for all sorts of interesting things with this series. Hopefully. I hope so, anyway. As I was saying, it's going to be a fairly collaborative thing in a way, I think, because I know quite often when I've put down something in a sketchpad, I don't necessarily know which ones, if any of them, I want to carry forward into a fully rendered final piece. Some of them I really like, and some of them I don't. There might be some that you really like that I don't necessarily rate particularly, but if there's something that you would like to see me experiment with more, then let me know in the comments, and I definitely will look into doing that thing. But as I'm saying, sometimes there's images and things that happen in a sketchpad that you're not so proud of, and that kind of brings me on to some of the rules that I'm going to set myself for with this sketchpad. First rule is I'm not going to use an eraser at all. If something goes wrong, I'm going to keep it. I'm just going to go with the flow and try and do the best I can with a bad situation. It's a pretty important lesson to learn, and one that I think a lot of people struggle with when they're drawing, and certainly learning to draw, is that not every single sketch that you draw is going to be great. And I certainly suffered from it in the past, where even in a sketchpad that I know that I'm the only person who's ever going to likely to be seeing it, I'll do something which I look at and I think, this is terrible. This is the worst thing I've ever drawn. And I have been known to tear out that page and erase an entire page's worth of sketches. And I'm going to try and avoid doing that with this particular thing, because I want to demonstrate that we all suffer from it. We all do it. We all have bad days. We all have bad sketches. We all draw something one day which is great, and then something which is just truly, or in our own opinion, terrible the next. And quite often what I find is, if you do keep that thing, then you'll come back to it a few days later, maybe, or a week, a month. You'll come back and you'll look at it and go, you know what, that's not actually so bad. It's not the best thing in the world, but it's not bad, and there's some interesting ideas in it. So it's good to keep bad designs as well as the good ones. For example, this page here that I'm currently drawing, the dragon that I'm currently drawing, there's a lot of things that I don't like about it. I don't like the kind of the carapace, the shell thing that's kind of covering its eyes, like on the front, its forehead, I guess. I'm not keen on that. It's a bit of a weird shape. The perspective is kind of off on it. There's lots of little things about it that I'm not keen on. But looking back at it now, it's better than it was when I drew it, if that makes sense. Same with the guy in the middle there, who's looking straight onto the camera. When I finished drawing that character, that dragon, I did not like it at all. I moved on from him because I was like, this is not working. I'm not happy. But looking back at him now, kind of happy with him. He's actually not as bad as I remember. This guy that I'm drawing right now is sort of a cow dragon. I don't know where that came from, but I think it was the snout. As I was drawing the snout, kind of made me think of a cow, so I kind of continued on that theme. And this last one that I'm drawing just now was just a filler. It was very, very scratchy, very nothing. No detail or anything to it. Just kind of scratched it in just to fill that little bit of space with one more dragon. Thought I'd do a full size one approximately. So yeah, that's this page pretty much done, and then I'm moving on to the next page. And with the next page, as you'll see when I get there, I decided to move away from the dragons and move on to something else. So, as I'm saying, ugly things will stay in the sketchpad. I think that's important for me to get out of the habit of just going, no, this is terrible, and throwing it away, tearing it out of the sketchpad. It's a bad habit, and it's one that I want to get out of. And I think doing each page with you guys is going to help me with that, and it'll be good for you guys to see that we all suffer from those bad things. As I was saying before, also going to be trying to avoid using an eraser, try and stop using rubbers in this particular one, just not necessarily because I think it's a bad habit or anything, but because I think it might end up helping me to tighten up my lines, to try and not make as many big mistakes in my lines in the first place. I think that's what I'm trying to say with that. It's something I've toyed with the idea of before, trying to avoid using an eraser in a sketchpad, and always failed at. So it'll be interesting to see how I get on with that. We have moved on to the second page, so I'll try and explain what it is that I'm attempting to do with this page, and it's simply character design, coming up with interesting looking characters, creatures, that kind of thing. I tend to lean more towards creature design than I do towards human type characters. So, and you'll see all of these are fairly interesting looking creature designs. They all got a bit of character to them in the sense that, you know, there's personality and things coming through, but there's no real human-esque character there. They're all very different, very interesting looking, strange proportions, strange faces, strange shapes. And the reason that I tend to do that quite a lot with my character designs, rather than going towards human stuff, is because it's very easy, I find, to just draw the same face over and over. You're drawing human face and you end up drawing the same face. And part of the reason for that is that you get comfortable with a certain set of proportions, a certain shape of nose, a certain shape of jaw, and you just repeat them. And even if you're trying to draw a different character, they always end up looking kind of the same. And that's something which I've suffered from since I first started drawing. So a lot of the time when I'm sketching these days, I deliberately throw portions out of whack. I deliberately choose unusual shapes for noses and jaws and heads. I mean, you can see all these guys that I've drawn so far are not in any way proportionally correct, as you know, in terms of a human being. This guy that I'm drawing in the center with the hat is a bit piggy. He's a bit. There's no word. They could all be Star Wars characters, I guess, but they're not. Certainly not human characters. And the reason is, like I was saying, that I think if I'm pushing those proportions, if I'm deliberately choosing unusual shapes for noses and mouths and stuff, when I do come to draw humans, then I'll be more versed. I will have more variety of shapes and things that I can choose from when I am doing humans than if I just draw the same face over and over. I think that makes sense. Let me know if it doesn't, and I'll try and say it again in a different video. But yeah, this tends to be what a lot of the pages in my sketchbooks at the moment look like. It's a lot of strange characters, strange and unusual looking characters, and that's probably a lot of what this sketchbook will end up looking like if I allow it to. Which kind of brings me on to another one of the I wouldn't say rules, but one of the things I want to try with this sketchbook is to push myself out of my comfort zone. I'm comfortable drawing these characters, these odd shapes and odd faces and stuff, but the things that I'm not comfortable with, things like mechanics and industrial stuff, man-made objects, robots, mechs, that kind of thing, I am really uncomfortable with. And part of the reason for that is that I don't draw them enough. I draw this kind of thing all the time, like I say, these organic shapes, these weird characters, all the time. That's what I'm doing. But I want to start pushing myself into drawing some mechanical things, some, like I say, robots, cyborgs, mechanoids, all this kind of weird man-made structures, harsh lines, that kind of thing. That's something that I want to try and get more of in this sketchbook. They won't be every episode. A lot of the episodes will be these types of characters, a lot more things that I'm comfortable with, I guess, and there'll be lots of, like I say, different techniques, different media that I don't necessarily use all the time, or ones that I think you guys might find interesting. And then there will also be things that I'm deliberately doing for myself to kind of push myself that little bit more, something that's important for artists to do. It's just keep pushing yourself, keep pushing forwards, avoiding those blocks, and just, learning new things all the time. I think that guy that I've just finished drawing there is probably the one which has the most human features. I actually started with a very generic head shape with it, deliberately, just to see what would happen if I pushed some of those shapes as I was drawing him. And you can see he came out quite kind of demonic, I guess, in a way. He's sort of a demon type character, maybe a bit orcish, I don't know, something. But he's definitely not human still, and that's because I've pushed those shapes, those proportions. He's even got sort of more of a human nose than any of the other ones as well. I think this guy that I'm drawing now is probably the last one for this page. I actually really like this guy. I think he's probably my favourite one on this page. That and the guy in the top left, he's kind of cool. And the guy next to him on his shoulder, kind of like him. In fact, the sort of, I don't know what you'd call it, sort of snaky, amphibious looking guy, kind of in the middle to the right. Kind of like him. But this guy that I'm drawing now is probably definitely my favourite. It's sort of got a Yoda-esque feel to him. He's like an aged, wizened character, perhaps. I don't know. I really like him, though. It'd be interesting to try and develop that character a bit further, I think. And yeah, that's it. Those are the first 2 pages of the sketchbook. The sketchbook that I'm hoping we will be filling in together. So yeah, there's the first page, dragons, and then second page, character design. So let me know what you think. If you've got any questions, anything you'd like me to go back over, let me know in the comments down below. And I will see you in the next episode, which will be sometime next week. Cheers, and guys, see you next time.